Okay, good morning. Today's daf is daf Tesvav, and we were still on the very bottom of Yudalim and Beis. The Mishnah taught on Yudalim and Aleph that if somebody slaughters on Shabbos or Yom Kippur, even though Nischayev b'nafsho, even though through slaughtering on Shabbos and Yom Kippur he deserves death, nevertheless the shechita is good. So the Gemara had said that Rav Huna taught in the name of Chia bar Rav, who had said in the name of his father Rav, that yes, the shechita is good, but that day it can't be eaten. It can't be eaten on Shabbos, it can't be eaten on Yom Kippur. So the Gemara is trying to, but afterwards it'll be edible, it'll be kosher. The Gemara is trying to understand why can't you eat it that day. So the Gemara proposes, this is the view of Rabbi Yehuda, and it's based on the issues of muktzah. And on that day, what was slaughtered on Shabbos, what was slaughtered on Yom Tov is muktzah, on Yom Kippur is muktzah. So the Gemara is trying to understand why is it muktzah. So it goes through a whole bunch of proposals based on hachana. Finally, the Gemara says, now in Yudalim and Beis, Ela Amar, rather Rav Sheshas, rather Rav Sheshas, the son of Rav Idi, said, we're 5 lines from the bottom, Rav Yehuda the Nerosi. Where would Rav Yehuda say that the animal stays muktzah? It's based on what Rav Yehuda said in regards to candelabras, in regards to lamps. The time we're going to bring some mitzvot l'ner chadash avalo yashan divrei Rav Yehuda. It says you can carry a new lamp on Shabbos. You can't carry an old lamp. An old lamp is dirty. Since it was dirty, it was muktzah. It was put out of mind because it's dirty. You thought you weren't going to use it as Shabbos began. You can't carry it. So that's what's going on here too. An animal, even if it's slaughtered on Shabbos or Yom Kippur, so slaughtering was a good slaughtering, but the animal stays muktzah. It was out of mind before Shabbos. It's still muktzah. The Gemara says maybe not. Maybe there Rabbi Yehuda says it's muktzah because we're talking about something being out of mind because it's dirty. It's disgusting. Have we ever heard that Rabbi Yehuda says that something which is out of mind because there's a prohibition involved in the usage of it? There's an isser. That's what makes it stayed out of mind. Let's say you have a phone. So a phone before Shabbos, as Shabbos is entering, you're thinking not to use it because there's a prohibition in using it. So even if, I don't know, the phone dies and now you can't use it anyway on Shabbos, you still can't move it because it was muktzah machmas isser. Where do you see that Rabbi Yehuda holds a muktzah machmas isser? So Gemara says, we know that too. We know that too. So here it's muktzah machmas isser. As Shabbos is entering, it's a live animal. It's also to eat from it. It's a from an achai. You can't eat from a living animal. So it's muktzah machmas isser, and we know that Rabbi Yehuda. What's that? Not necessarily, but that's a good point. But so we actually have a proof that Rabbi Yehuda says muktzah machmas isser too.
Rabbi, this is specific to that item or the category?
He believes in this category. It's not because it's in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says, now turning to today's daf, Kol Neiro Shel Mateches, all lamps of metal, Mitzalpin, you're allowed to carry them on Shabbos because even though they've been used to light, they're not disgusting. Except for a metal lamp that had been lit as Shabbos began. Why? Because if it was lit as Shabbos began, it's muktzah machmas isser. At the beginning of Shabbos, you can't turn out this light because of kibui, so you couldn't move it around because that might turn it off. So therefore, since it was muktzah at the beginning, even though it went out already, it stays muktzah and prohibited. So you see the Rabbi Yehuda holds of muktzah machmas isser in regards to a flame. So he'll hold of it in regards to an animal. So that's what's going on here. This animal that's slaughtered on Shabbos, before Shabbos, as Shabbos was beginning, it was muktzah. It was out of mind because there's a prohibition. It's even an achai to eat from it. So since it was pushed out of mind, it stays muktzah. Therefore, even though the slaughtering was a good slaughtering, you can't eat from the animal because the animal is muktzah. But there's a difference. Until Mashani also, there is a difference. If somebody lights a candle on Friday, and then as Friday night starts, there's a candle burning in a lamp, you did an act to push it aside from being usable on Shabbos. You did an act to put it out of mind, because the act of lighting the candle makes it now that there's a prohibition of extinguishing the candle. So the act of lighting was an act of putting it out of mind. Whereas when you deal with a living animal, so yes, when the animal is alive, there's an isser, but you don't do something to make that isser. There is an isser. You didn't do something to push it out of mind. There's a prohibition of Ever Menachai, of eating from it, but there is no act. Maybe the only time Rabbi Yehuda holds of Muktzah Machmas isser is when there is an action of pushing it out of mind. But when there's no action of pushing it out of mind, maybe Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold the Muktzah Machmas isser. So how do we know in our Mishnah that the animal that was slaughtered on Shabbos is still Muktzah?
So it stays right there. You cannot even move the animal from, one room to the other room or something.
If it's Muktzah, you couldn't move it. No, it's Muktzah.
That's it.
Ela Amar Rav Ashi. So Rav Ashi said, when Rav said that it's true that the shechita was good, that was done on Shabbos, but you can't eat from the meat this Shabbos, it's not based on the issues of Muktzah at all. What's it based on? It's based on the issue that was brought up, I think, by Fred yesterday, the issue of Ma'asa Shabbos. We have a rule that you're not allowed to cook on Shabbos, and if somebody cooks on Shabbos, because he cooked on Shabbos, the food is not allowed. Because the food was created through a prohibition, the food is not allowed. That's called Ma'asa Shabbos. He's desecrating Shabbos. That's what's going on here. What's going on here is the issues of Ma'asa Shabbos, not the issues of Muktzah. That's what Fred said. Why is slaughtering any different than cooking? So the Gemara is going to ultimately say it's not different. That's really what's going on here. What's going on here is not an issue of Muktzah. What's going on is that the guy who violated Shabbos to slaughter, so there was a violation of Shabbos. He made the meat edible through violating Shabbos. That's like making the meat edible by cooking it on Shabbos. Therefore, it's prohibited that day because of Ma'aseh Shabbos.
But the cooking is not prohibited. It's not prohibited even after Shabbos.
We'll see.
But the animal is.
Shit.
No, the animal is going to be allowed after Shabbos.
Yeah, but the cooking, if you cook food on Shabbos, you can't eat it on Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, so we'll see that that's a big argument. We're going to see the three different opinions.
But sheching is allowed to shech the animal on Shabbat, no?
No.
What are you saying then, Rabbi? It's very mixed up here for me. I
So
don't
just
understand.
like you're not allowed to slaughter on Shabbos, and
Okay.
if he did slaughter, he violated Shabbos.
Okay.
So it's like somebody who cooks on Shabbos. So he's violating Shabbos, and therefore the produce of his act is going to be disallowed. It will be
Disallowed,
prohibited
okay.
this Shabbos. Later it's going to be allowed. We'll see why. So Ela Amar Rav Ashi. So Rav Ashi said, this is not the issues of Muktzah. We have Yehuda de Mavashal. This is the issues of cooking on Shabbos. We have three opinions. They all sort of shift what the other one says. It's not, we learned in a Mishnah, Hamevashel b'Shabbos. If a person cooks on Shabbos, it's the Mishnah in Trumos. So Bishogig, if he did it by mistake, not realizing that the day is Shabbos, Yochal. So then he can eat from the food later. He can eat from the food, he can eat from the food right away. According to this opinion, he can eat from it right away. However, b'mezid, if he knew it was Shabbos, and he deliberately violated Shabbos, and deliberately he cooked on Shabbos, lo yochal, he's not allowed to eat from the food on Shabbos. When Shabbos ends, he has to wait the amount of time it would take to cook the food, and only after that amount of time he could eat. So it shouldn't be that he in any way benefited from having cooked on Shabbos. But once he waited the amount of time it would take to cook the food, so now already he can eat from it. Okay, Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's the view of Rabbi Meir. So according to Rabbi Meir, b'shogeg, if he didn't know it was Shabbos when he was cooking the food, and now he realizes that it's Shabbos, once the food is already cooked, he can eat right away on Shabbos. If it was b'mezid, if he deliberately violated Shabbos, according to Rabbi Meir, then after Shabbos he needs to wait the amount of time to do the food again, and then he can eat. However, Rabbi Yehuda says, b'shogeg yochel motzoi Shabbos. If he was a mistake in his cooking on Shabbos, then b'shogeg. If it was a mistake, then after Shabbos he can eat from it, after he waits the amount of time to cook it, both him or others. However, b'mezid, if he cooked deliberately on Shabbos, Lo yochal olamis. He is never allowed to eat from it because he deliberately violated Shabbos. And others could eat from it after Shabbos once they would wait the amount of time to cook it. Rabbi Yochanan Sandler says, B'shogeg, if he cooked it on Shabbos by mistake, then yachal motzei Shabbos lachem v'lo lo. Then others could eat it after Shabbos once they waited the amount of time it would take to cook it. But he could never eat it. B'meizid, if he cooked it on purpose, lo yachal olamis, can't be eaten forever. Lo lo v'lo lacherim, not him and not others. So now the Gemara is saying that's our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that if an animal is slaughtered on Shabbos, it's a good slaughtering. Rabbi Chia said in the name of Rav, even though it's a good slaughtering, that day itself, Shabbos itself, it can't be eaten. So why can't it be eaten? So we proposed maybe it can't be eaten because it's so muktzah. We said no, it's not really muktzah. You didn't do something to push it aside to make it muktzah. It's not necessarily muktzah. So why can't it be eaten that Shabbos day? The answer is because it's following Rabbi Yehuda in regards to cooking on Shabbos. What does Rabbi Yehuda say in regards to cooking on Shabbos? Rabbi Yehuda says if you cook on Shabbos by mistake, it can be eaten to all only after Shabbos. But Shabbos itself, it can't be eaten. So if that's the view of Rabbi Yehuda, that's what's going on here. The guy had made a mistake. He had forgotten that the day was Shabbos. He had shechted, forgetting that the day is Shabbos. That's why it can be eaten to all after Shabbos, but on Shabbos itself, it can't be eaten.
How do we pass them? We pass them like that with food?
Oh, how do we paskin? 1 second. We'll get to... We do paskin that way, right? We paskin...
But how about if it's intentionally cooked on Shabbos?
We pass like this. If somebody cooks on Shabbos on purpose, he himself can never eat it forever. Others can eat it on Motzei Shabbos. And if he cooks on Shabbos by mistake, then both he and others can't eat it on Shabbos, and Motzei Shabbos all can eat it after they wait.
So Rabbi, let's say you make a Chullen and you put them on the warmer. Okay. Now, when it comes to eat, let's say something is missing. Tomato is missing.
Okay.
Can you add tomato to
No.
this? You cannot. But salt and pepper you allow.
Correct. Because salt and pepper were already cooked, whereas a tomato is cooking. You're cooking the tomato.
So you cannot add any more thing to be cooked in there. Okay.
Not wet.
There are even those who are worried about having on the same plate salad and cholent. Because they say the salad is raw, the cholent, if it's thick, could be very hot, maybe it could cook it. Most people don't think such a problem because by the time the cholent gets to the plate, it's not so hot, it can be
What
good.
if it's a cooked food? What if it's a cooked food?
That's okay, there's no cooking after cooking.
But the
Okay.
tomato doesn't need to be cooked.
Doesn't matter, but since a raw item can get cooked, cooking.
You can add a cooked item to the chullen,
Yeah, in bishul achar bishul.
but liquid in the...
Not a liquid item, solid. Yeah.
The Bichdei Yasu is not lehalacha. The Bichdei Yasu is Rashi explaining it. Because Rashi has an opinion that he applies it to all melachot.
Right.
Shulchan Aruch doesn't apply. So when we're talking about Rabbi Yehuda, and he says you can eat after Shabbat if it's b'shogeg, after Shabbat
Interesting.
immediately.
Interesting.
There's no Bichdei Yasu.
He doesn't say Bichdei Shiasi. Okay, Rashi though says Bichdei Shiasi.
Rashi
Thank
has
you.
it because he's also we're posting like Rabbi Yehuda, but in Muktzah we're posting like Rabbi Shimon.
Correct.
So it's a kind of combination of both.
Interesting.
Bless you.
So now the Gemara says, so why do you say it's Rabbi Yehuda, V'nukma b'meiz Rabbi Meir? Why don't you say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir? Because as we know, Stam Mishnah Rabbi Meir, a Mishnah without an attribution is usually Rabbi Meir. Let's say it's Rabbi Meir. What did Rabbi Meir say? That if it was done b'meizid on Shabbos, the cooking, then you can only eat it after Shabbos. It's Rabbi Meir. So the Gemara says, Lo sakatayt, you can't think it's Rabbi Meir. Because the Mishnah speaks about Shabbos, Tumid Yom Kippur, like Yom Kippur. So my Yom Kippur, just like on Yom Kippur, if somebody slaughters, Loshna Shogig, Veloshna B'mezid, Lo Achil, whether it's done B'shogig or B'mezid, it can't be eaten. Afachi, so the Mishnah's point is also, Loshna Shogig, Veloshna B'mezid, Lo Achil, that even if it's done B'shogig on Shabbos, it can't be eaten. So it must be it's shogeg and it's Rabbi Yehuda. So asks him, but how can you say that it's shogeg, and that's why it can't be eaten? Because according to Rabbi Yehuda, if somebody b'shogeg cooks on Shabbos, it can't be eaten that Shabbos. But the Mishnah says even though the guy slaughtering deserves death, nevertheless the slaughtering is kosher. And second, if it was b'shogeg, he doesn't deserve death. Answer the Gemara. That's what it means. Mishnah is saying even though that were he to do this b'mezid, he would be deserving of death. Now if you did it b'shogeg, it can be eaten today. It can be eaten tonight. And it can't be eaten right now. Why don't we say that the Mishnah is the third opinion? It's Rabbi Yochanan Sadler. He says both b'shogeg and b'mezid it cannot be eaten. B'mezid it could never be eaten by anyone. B'shogeg it can only be eaten that night. So Gemara says to others. My answer is Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, Kamiflik b'motzoi Shabbos lachem v'lo. Rabbi Yochanan Sandler says that if you cook on Shabbos by mistake, after Shabbos, others can eat it, but not the cooker. So Tana Didan, but our Tana, Shkita Sok Sherek Tani. He said that the slaughtering on Shabbos is a good act of slaughtering. And we are adding what he means, though, it's a good act of slaughtering for after Shabbos, but on Shabbos it can't be eaten. But he's talking about for others. But he says if the slaughtering is good. If the slaughtering is good, that means Loshna Lo, Loshna Lacher. It means it's good. It has to be good for him too. That's why it couldn't be Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, because he would say it's never good for the person himself. So that's the final conclusion of what the Mishnah is talking about. The final conclusion is that our Mishnah is talking about a person who forgot that the day is Shabbos, or forgot the day is Yom Kippur, and that's why he's slaughtering. And the reason why Rav said, the Mishnah says the Shechita is good, but Rav adds, it's not good for Shabbos, it's not good for Yom Kippur. It's based on the laws not of Muktzah, but the laws of Maaseh Shabbos, of violating Shabbos. And basically what the Mishnah is saying is that since he did it by mistake, it cannot be eaten on Shabbos. After Shabbos it could be eaten, like the view of Rabbi Yehuda, that on Shabbos, Maaseh Shabbos is prohibited to all. When it was done b'shogeg, after Shabbos it's going to be permitted. Okay, so that is the discussion of our Mishnah. So now a story. So Tani Tana, Kamei de Rav. There was an expert in Mishnayos and Braisos who was saying over a Brisa in front of Rav. Now what did he say? He said like this. The Brisa says, Hamavashal b'Shabbos b'shogeg yochal. Somebody cooks on Shabbos by mistake, forgetting that it's Shabbos, so it can be eaten. B'mezid lo yochal. But if he deliberately violated Shabbos, it can't be eaten. Umashtikli Rav. Rav would silence him. He'd say, shh, don't say it, don't say it. So my time Umashtikli Rav. Why was Rav silencing him? If it's because Rav holds halachas like Rabbi Yehuda, that even when it's cooked b'shogeg, it can't be eaten. V'tana, Tani Rabbi Meir. This Tana is saying what Rabbi Meir holds, that b'shogeg it could be eaten on Shabbos. Only b'mezid it couldn't be eaten on Shabbos. Mishum d'svir like Rabbi Yehuda, because you agree with Rabbi Yehuda. My Tani Rabbi Meir, mashtiklei, the one who's quoting a brisa like Rabbi Meir, you have to silence him. There's such a brisa, such an opinion. And furthermore, me several like Rabbi Yehuda. Do you think that Rav even holds halachas like Rabbi Yehuda? Rav Chanan Bar Ami said, Ki Morilu Rav would tell me day when Rav would teach his students, Morilu Rabbi Meir. He told them, really, the halachas like Rabbi Meir. That if someone b'shogeg cooks on Shabbos, you can eat it right away. That's really the halacha. However, but when he would interpret it, when he would teach the whole big crowd, when everyone would come for the pirka, for the big shir, Darsh Rabbi Yehuda, he would tell them that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, because he didn't want the ignorant people to not respect Shabbos. They shouldn't think that if you make a mistake and you cook on Shabbos by mistake, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. So if you made a mistake and you cooked on Shabbos by mistake, you can't eat the food that Shabbos. Teach them like Rabbi Yehuda, but really also like Rabbi Meir. If you're going to tell me that's why he was silencing this Tana, this guy who's an expert in Braisos and Mishnayos, because Tana b'pir Tana kamei, this Tana was during the big crowd, and when the big crowd had gathered, That's when he was saying, if you cook on Shabbos by mistake, you can eat it. So now for the big crowd, that's not the message you tell them. 1 second. When the big crowd is there, who are they going to listen to? They're going to listen to a Tana, they're going to listen to Rav. They're listening to Rav. They're not listening to the Tana, they're not listening to the guy who knows Mishnayos and Braysos, they're listening to Rav. And Rav has next to him a translator, an Amora, a Maturkaman, who's making all of his words very loud. That's the one they're listening to. They're not listening to the guy who's whispering under his breath. So why did Rav have to silence this man? So Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak explained. Tana Shoche Tana Kame Rav. This Tana wasn't saying that if somebody cooks on Shabbos by mistake, the food is edible. He was saying if somebody slaughters on Shabbos by mistake, it could be eaten. And he was saying Hashochet b'Shabbos. If somebody slaughters on Shabbos, b'shogeg, forgetting that the day is Shabbos, yochal, the food can be eaten. B'mezid, but if he slaughtered on Shabbos on purpose, lo yochal, then it can't be eaten on Shabbos. V'amar lei, so Rav said to him, my daita. So what do you think? Ki Rabbi Meir, you're thinking like Rabbi Meir, because we said in the Mishnah in Trumos, Rabbi Meir says cooking on Shabbos by mistake, it could be eaten right away. Cooking on Shabbos on purpose, it can't be eaten until after Shabbos. 1 second. When does Rabbi Meir say that if something was cooked on Shabbos by mistake, it could be eaten right away? He's talking about cooking, because when you cook, what do you have? You have something, you have raw meat. The raw meat you cook on Shabbos. Raw meat is also edible. There's some people who eat raw meat. The Gemara called it umtza. What do they call it? Tartar. People eat raw meat. So when you have raw meat, it's not muktzah, because it was edible when it was raw. So now that it was cooked on Shabbos by mistake, Rabbi Meir says it could be eaten. But shochet, but if somebody slaughters on Shabbos, what was it before it was slaughtered? It was an animal that was alive. An animal that's alive is muktzah machmas isser, as we said. It's prohibited because it's Avram and Achai to take from it. So shochet ein roi lachos. Before Shabbos, as Shabbos begins, it's not something that you could chew. It's muktzah. So now that it's slaughtered, Rabbi Meir would hold it based on muktzah, you can't eat it. And therefore, lo, even though it was slaughtered b'shogeg, you couldn't eat it based on muktzah. So 1 second, Ramas Nisa and the shochet who? But our Mishnah is talking about a man who's slaughtering an animal. Ravuna said, Darash Chia Barav and trained the Rav. Chia Barav said in the name of Rav. And in the case of our Mishnah, Asur Bachil Yom, you can't eat it that day. And we went through a whole sugya saying that that's the view of Rabbi Yehuda. The reason why you can't eat it that day is because even though it was slaughtered b'shogeg, but there's a rule of Maaseh Shabbos, you can't eat it that day. 1 second. Rabbi Meir Shari. That's implying that according to Rabbi Meir, it could be eaten that day. 1 second, but you're just saying that according to Rabbi Meir, it couldn't be eaten that day because of muktzah. Answers the Gemara. Rabbi Meir would allow it if it wouldn't be muktzah. How would it not be muktzah? Now starting Tesvav and Beis. With a person who slaughtered the animal by mistake on Shabbos, had in his house someone who was deathly ill and in need of meat. So if he has someone in his house who's deathly ill, or someone who's deathly ill, you can violate Shabbos for his sake. So the animal was not muktzah, because it wasn't that it couldn't be slaughtered. It wasn't edible. It could be edible. Because you knew that it could be slaughtered for this man. Yachi, 1 second. If it could be slaughtered for this man, my time of Rabbi Yehuda da'asar. So then why is there any problem, according to Rabbi Yehuda, in eating the meat? The guy was allowed to slaughter the animal, because you're slaughtering an animal for someone who's deathly ill. So now you should be able to eat the meat too.
He cooked it too.
So no, the Gemara says,
He didn't?
the beginning of Shabbos, he had someone in the house who was deathly ill. But by the time he slaughtered, that person had recovered. So he didn't have to do the slaughtering for that man. As this Rav Acha bar Ada taught in the name of Rav. Amila, some say it was Amr Yitzchak bar Ada, Amar Rav. Hashochet l'Shabbos, Hashochet l'Chola b'Shabbos. Asur lebari. That Rav Yitzchak Bar Ada said, if somebody slaughters on an animal for a sick person on Shabbos, the healthy person can't eat from it because the meat is muktzah. Meat is muktzah.
He can't taste it to see how the soup is, but usually
Let's
the
see in a
cook
second.
tastes it.
But if somebody is cooking food on Shabbos for a sick person, mutter lebari. Even the healthy person can eat from it. My time or why? Because what he cooks is not muktzah. Hi roy lakos. What he cooked could have been chewed. Hi in a roy lakos. Rav Papa said, Pam, there are times shashochet mutter. Sometimes if somebody slaughters an animal on Shabbos for someone who's sick, even healthy people can eat from the animal. Let's say the animal's not muktzah, because the sick person was sick when it was still Friday. So the animal wasn't muktzah. And then on the other end, there could be a mevasha, which is asr. There could be a cooking where the healthy person can't eat from it. Kagon shekatzatzlo dalas. For example, where on Shabbos it was a pumpkin attached to the ground. And then on Shabbos the guy gets sick. And on Shabbos the pumpkin is cut off and then cooked. So now the pumpkin is going to be muktzah, and healthy people can't eat from it even though it was allowed to be cooked for the sick person. Amar Rav Dimi Minarda said the halacha. Hilchasa, the halacha is like this. Hashochet l'chol b'Shabbos mutar lebari b'umtzah. If you have a sick person in the house before Shabbos, and then on Shabbos you slaughter for the sick person, healthy people can also eat from that meat. They can't cook that meat, but they can eat that meat raw, tartar. My time or why? Came with the Yevshel Kazayas Basa Below Shchita, since the sick person can't get his kazayas of meat without it getting slaughtered. So therefore, Kika Shachit, when there's an act of slaughter, Adai to the Chola Kashachit. That's being done for the person who's sick. And therefore, once it was done for him, so other people can benefit too, because it's one act of shchita for all. There's no way to do it less. But if you have a sick person in the house, and you cook for his sake on Shabbos, which you're allowed to do, asalabari, healthy people are not allowed to eat from that food. Shema yarba b'shvilo, because when it comes to cooking, if we would allow the healthy people to eat, so the smart Jews would say, okay, instead of cooking one piece of meat for our sick man, we're going to cook 5 pieces of meat, so everybody can have fresh meat this Shabbos. Once they're adding to violations that they can't do. Therefore, when it comes to cooking, the healthy people cannot eat from it. Yeah, question? Okay, yeah, please.
No, just for a chole, it doesn't matter, I think, if he's sick before. Again, this is Rashi has a very specific view. He goes with muktzeh according to Rabbi Yehuda, and that's why. Amen. If the chole wasn't sick before Shabbat, and it's just sick on Shabbat.
Yeah.
There's no muktzeh with regard to the behem for the chole.
For sure. No, for the chola, for sure. We're talking about other people.
Also for everybody else.
Why?
Because we're not passing like
Rabbi Yehuda. We don't pass like Rabbi Yehuda. Very good. We pass like Rabbi Shimon.
You didn't. It's not like.
Yes, this Gemara is like Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rashi. Correct. Wonderful. Okay, next Mishnah. Hashochet b'magal yad. Somebody who slaughters with a hand sickle. So the hand sickle has 2 sides. One side is smooth and straight like a knife. The other side is jagged like a saw. So if you use the hand sickle, or bitzor, he uses a sharp flint, or bikaneh, he uses a sharpened reed. Shchita so ksheira. If it was done, it's kosher. But lechatchila, you shouldn't use these items. Says the Mishnah, Hakol shochtin. Everybody's allowed to shecht. Everybody's allowed to shecht. Even a Jew who's a priest for Jews for Jesus, he can also shecht. You just have to give him the knife. You give him the knife, and you can accept his shchita too.
Well, you're inspecting.
As long as you inspect it, right. I'm sorry, not a Jew who's Jesus. Anything but that. He's a Jew who eats non-kosher, as long as you give him the knife. Right, so that knife. Avodah Zarah or Chilul Shabbos in public, not. Right, okay. Hakol shochten. Everybody can shecht. Ula olam shochten. And they can always shecht, as we said, by day, by night, as long as there are big lights up on. Uba kol shochten. And you can shecht with everything. You can shecht with a flint. You can shecht with glass. You can shecht with a reed. Chutz mi magol katzir. Except for the big sickle that's used to cut down a harvest. The hamagera, or a saw. The hashinayim, or to use teeth that are on the cheek of an animal. You can't use that to shecht. The hatziporen, or a fingernail. Because these things don't slit the pipes, they uproot the pipes. They do ikor, they pull out the pipe, and that's why they're not good for shechita. Okay, Gemara. Says the Gemara, there's a contradiction here in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Hashochet b'magol yad, if somebody slaughters with a magol yad, or with a tzor, or with a reed, it's kosher. Sound like b'di'evid in, l'chatchila lo. But then the Mishnah goes on to say that bakol shochten, sounds like you can shecht with everything. So Gemara says like this, Mishnah b'magol yad, I can understand with the hand sickle, why it's maybe b'di'evid, because maybe you're going to use the wrong side. The side that has saw-like pegs instead of the side that's smooth. But when it comes to a reed, when it comes to a flint, l'chatchila lo, is it really that only b'di'evid it's okay, but l'chatchila not? Or meaning, but I'll challenge you. We learned again in the Mishnah. Bakol shochten, you can check with everything. Bein b'tzar, whether it's a flint, bein b'schuchis, or it's glass, bein b'krum shel or with the edge of a reed. So it says explicitly that the edge of a reed is l'chatchila. The answer is lo kash, it's not a contradiction. Kan b'talish. If the reed is detached from the ground, it's l'chatchila to use it. Kan b'mechuber. But if the reed is still attached to the ground, or if you're using something which is attached to the ground, that's even the flint attached to the ground, it's only b'di'evid. Rav Kahana said, Hashochet b'mechuber l'karka. If somebody slaughters with something still attached to the ground, Rabbi posel. Rabbi says it's not kosher. Rabbi Chia machshir. And Rabbi Chia says it is kosher. So it's Rabbi Chia, but it's only b'di'evid. Ad kan lo machshir Rabbi Chia. When does Rabbi Chia allow you to, when they say it's a kosher shechita, when something's attached to the ground? Ela b'di'evid. If it was done, it's kosher. But l'chatchila, he wouldn't allow it. Says the Gemara, B'mayu kimta. How'd you explain the beginning of the Mishnah? Rabbi Chia. The Mishnah's Rabbi Chia. B'di'evid. And it's saying, b'di'evid, you could use a reed, b'di'evid, you could use a flint, as long as if it is attached to the ground. B'di'evid, you could use it. Hell, at the time of this, we went in a brayso, bakol shochten, you can shecht with everything. Bein b'talish, bein b'mechuber, whether it's detached, whether it's attached. Bein shasakal l'mala, v'tzavar bein l'mata, whether the knife is on top and the animal neck is below. Bein shasakal l'mata, when the knife is below, v'tzavar bein l'mala, and the neck of the animal is on top. So Mani, so who is that? Lo Rabbi Chia, lo Rabbi, lo Rabbi Chia. It's not Rabbi nor Rabbi Chia, because Rabbi Chia, if it's Rabbi Chia di'evid, he only allows you to do it b'di'evid if it's mechuber. L'chatchila lo, l'chatchila, he says you can't use something attached. Be Rabbi, if it's Rabbi di'evid nami lo. He said even b'di'evid you can't do it. So Mani says lo Rabbi Chia, really it's Rabbi Chia. I feel l'chatchila and even l'chatchila. I had to come here for b'di'evid, and this that they're arguing about it b'di'evid. The Rabbi to tell you how far Rabbi goes. The Rabbi who says it's no good even with the Eved. So now the Gemara says, now the Mishnah, the Ketani Hashochet, the Eved in L'chatchila lo. The Mishnah says that if somebody shechts with the Eved, yes, but L'chatchila not. Mani, who's that? Lo Rabbi v'lo Rabbi Chia. That's neither Rabbi nor Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia, because Rabbi Chia, you're saying afilu L'chatchila, even L'chatchila allows it. Be Rabbi, and if it's Rabbi, afilu b'di'evid nami lo. Even b'di'evid you can't do it. The Olam Rabbi Chia, it's the Rabbi Chia. Afilu l'chatchila, and really even l'chatchila you're allowed to shecht with it. Umastis niktani hashochet. The Mishnah said it. If you shecht it, it's okay. That's Rabbi. That's only the view of Rabbi. One second, kasha the Rabbi or the Rabbi. So now there's a contradiction what Rabbi is saying. Does Rabbi say that b'di'evid it's possible? Does Rabbi say b'di'evid it's kosher? So the answer is like this: lo kasha, it's not a contradiction. Kad in the Brisa, Rabbi says that if it's attached, it's possible b'di'eved. The mechuber me'ikaro, something which is attached and has never been detached. Kad the Mishnah, where we're saying that according to Rabbi, it is okay b'di'eved. B'talush, the rock or the reed was detached. Ulevasof chibro, then it was reattached. Once it was reattached, it's not really attached. It's still really detached, and that's what b'di'eved it works. I mean, not Tamra, and how do I know to tell you the shanilan that there's a difference for us? Between something which is attached and it's always been attached, to detach and then reattached. The tiny, because we learned in a brisa. If somebody slaughters with a wheel that has a knife on it, the shchita is okay. If he uses something attached to the ground, again, shchita sok sheir, the shchita is okay. Not sakin b'koto v'shachat ba. If he puts the knife into the wall and then he puts the animal across the knife, shchita sok sheir, the shchita is okay. Hayatzar yotzim in hakotel. But if there is a stone coming out of a wall, or kana ola me'elav, or a reed coming out of the ground, v'shachat ba, and you slaughter with that which is still attached, shchita sok psul, it's not okay. The shchita is no good. Kashina adadi, it's a contradiction. Elalav, so what do you have to say? Shmamina, you have to say what you hear from here. Shani ben mechuber meikar, l'tolish l'vasof chibro. The difference is, if the reed is still attached to the ground, it's the original attachment. So that's no good. But if you have a knife that's in a wall, it was detached, now put into something. If it was detached and put into something, that is okay b'di'eved. Shmamina, that's the proof, and that's the view of Rabbi Yehuda. That's the view of our Mishnah. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Yomer, Ratzak HaKadosh Baruch Hu Zakas Yisrael Lefim Achir B'Lem Torah Mitzvah Shnei Matnei Chavetz L'man Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.
Amen.